Welcome to Your Lot and Parcel podcast with your host, Benjamin Diaz, designed strictly for you, the consumer. You will find that this platform has your best interests at heart.
Thank you for joining our show. This is Benjamin Diaz, your host. In this episode, we are discussing the risks of social isolation because of the pandemic. However, the causes of isolation is not limited to this alone, as we shall see. We will be visiting with a representative of an international nonprofit organization known as United Way. She will be addressing how we can mitigate the deleterious effects of loneliness and depression while having to stay home. She is currently the training manager of the Crisis Intervention Team and Diversity Inclusion Champion for United Way. Let's welcome Ms. Elkin Alfred. Thank you for being with us, Elkin, and I really appreciate you taking time to visit with us and tell us a lot about your programs there. But I do think that it's going to be very beneficial. I'm really excited to hear what your services are. And of course, you are with United Way, but tell us,
Yes.
how does your services, how does it work?
So we are part of a network, so United Way Worldwide, and United Way Worldwide has over 1,800 chapters across the world, spanning 40 countries and territories. And so we like to call ourselves a place where we are powering people to generate big ideas to solve big issues. And so I work for United Way of Broward County, located in Fort Lauderdale, so South Florida. And our United Way serves a county of 2 million people. And so we focus on the areas of health, education, and financial stability.
Mm-hmm. So I understand these are different chapters. You know, I took the time to call 3 different counties. I'm in California, and there it is. The easiest thing to do is to just dial 211. Am I correct?
Yeah, so many of our United Ways across the network operate the local 211, and that is a crisis helpline that we all partner with. And so for our United Way, we actually help fund them.
Yes, very good. What I wanted to focus on today, of course, is the pandemic. And many folks are limited and restricted to their homes. And of course, the pandemic, it's not limited to that. Some folks are ill, disabled. I have a good friend that had an accident, and he feels like he's been sequestered even for quite a while. In fact, that happened before the pandemic issue. But what programs do you have in United Way there to be able to mitigate some of those feelings of depression and loneliness and such?
So one of the first things we did, we started a campaign called It's Okay to Not Be Okay. And so we wanted to remove the stigma associated with mental illness or feelings of anxiety, depression, and loneliness. And so first it was just getting people to be comfortable with saying, I'm not okay. And then we encourage individuals to really reach out to people they care about and connect. And then communicate, and we say connect them to services that provide assistance. So we have a large aging population in our community. And so we have this amazing program where we partner with another nonprofit, and we provide smart TVs, smartphones, where seniors can actually connect with family members during using video chat, or using the app WhatsApp, which is a tool that I know in our community is heavily used because we have a large immigrant population. And so we have volunteers who were able to go into the homes, masked, but they assisted the seniors with using their smart TV or their iPads to really communicate with not only their family members, but also maybe friends that they had at the community center. And then we host groups right? Weekly groups to ensure that they're being connected with loved ones and friends, and then even exercise classes all on using their smart technology.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Actually, it is a fundamental human need to be gregarious, with friends and family and enjoy yourself that way. And it's by observation, it seems to me like that's a need for every living thing. I mean, you look out in the oceans, you have community of whales, you have schools
It
of fish, and it's even on the ground, you got herds and flocks. How much more, for humankind to be able to come together and you may have a grandchild across town, and because of what's going on today, you can't get close and even hug them. You see, so it can be a problem. I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you have a point there?
No, no, I agree with you. I think we have to understand that like all of our systems, right,
Yeah,
including our social, psychological, and biological,
yeah,
systems have developed around social groups and interaction with one another.
yeah.
So the mere fact that this epidemic, this pandemic is preventing us from having those social interactions impacts all areas of our lives, right? Not just our mental behavioral health, but also our physiology, right? Our
Yeah.
biology. So
Yes.
I think that's why I know it was important for us at United Way of Broward County to really tackle or try to address the issue of isolation.
Yeah. What are some of the medical effects, if you can respond on that, when somebody isolates themselves? They are predisposed to what kind of medical issues?
So there increased anxiety and depression. So that
Hmm.
impacts your mental health, behavior health. And then also the physiology. Also, studies have shown that it impacts the likelihood of increased heart disease, right? And so it also suppresses your immune system. So this is a time where you want to have a really good functioning immune system, but what the isolation does is suppresses that. So we see that it impacts us in twofold.
Yeah, very good. As far as suggestions, you mentioned a few things already. Do you address the whole family unit? I know there's senior citizens, that may be at home because of immobility. How
Yes,
about
we
the whole?
do.
Okay, go
We
ahead.
do. So recently we had what we call Talk to Me Tuesdays with the local radio station here on Instagram Live. And that was intentional because we wanted to target adolescents, and it was a way for them to engage with caring adults. And we talked about some of the things that they're feeling, whether it was missing out on prom, or not being able to, hang out with their classmates. And so we talked about how they can use technology in a way that's safe, right? And that promotes their mental health to connect to their loved ones. We've hosted team talks via Zoom. I mean, actually today we're hosting a Youth Leadership Institute all via Zoom. And again, it's another way for us to make sure that they stay connected to their friends.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great program there, Elkin. Let me ask you, what is it specifically that you do other than what you're telling me? There anything else you want to add? Because I believe you do other things as well.
I do. So before I get into that, I just wanted to
Yeah.
encourage individuals that are dealing with isolation. So a few
Hmm.
tips is to exercise. So
There you
we
go.
know that exercise is a well-documented stress reducer,
Yeah.
and it boosts your endorphins, which is our feel-good chemicals.
All right.
Meditate. And so I've started a meditation practice, and meditation has found to reduce anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found that during this time, I'm connecting with nature. And so getting outdoors, especially the sunshine or just any green space,
Mm-hmm.
can improve our mood by slowing down the activity in our prefrontal cortex, which is the area of the brain that's associated with anxiety.
Yeah.
So, just get outside. And if you're unable to get outside because of mobility issues and you do not have the assistance, then just looking at pictures, right, or listening to natural sounds like that of the rain or birds can help also decrease anxiety.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. I read a report that the color green which is generally the color when you go outdoors. You see the green in different shades of green, has a calming effect on the nervous system. So it's kind of interesting that you're saying that, because it all comes together like that. So yeah, it's just a matter of staying busy, gardening, I would think, right? Gardening, just movement.
Yes, yes,
Any kind of movement is good. Yeah,
yes. I'm actually in the process of buying some plants too, just to sit on my balcony.
yeah,
Because again, I noticed that the connectivity to nature helps me.
yeah. I know my wife finds it very therapeutic. I mean, she's planting this and that in the front and the back on the sides, and probably on top of the house too, for all I know. But she's she's all over the place with different plants. She loves plants, and so it is very therapeutic, and it's a good thing to just get involved like that and have something to do instead of sitting at home and feeling isolated, because it can be very unhealthy. You touched a little bit on technology, such as social media. What's the observation or the studies you have found as far as that as to helping?
So I think for us, so when we look at our senior population, technology has been really a great tool in connecting. And so what we find with adolescents and even just adults is that, teaching them how to use technology, specifically social media, right, to their advantage. So a few recommendations that we have is that set a timer on the amount of time that you're on your, social media platforms. I think iPhone, Apple, they have that tool where you can set it where you're only on 2 hours a day. And then I also like to recommend that maybe you just go through your feed and curate a feed that is going to be helpful to you during these times. And I know I personally have had to do that, right? So
Yeah,
I want to make sure that the things that I'm seeing are things that are bringing me joy and peace and laughter. And so I try not to, follow accounts that kind of elicit any other or any negative feelings.
yeah,
And then, we want to be mindful that we're not only in an epidemic or pandemic where we're experiencing isolation, but we're also, dealing with racial reckoning and how that can impact our mental health. And
definitely.
so I think for us is just really encouraging people to be intentional on how they use technology, and then
Yeah.
set really limits, and set time aside to say, hey, I'm going to turn off my cell phone or turn off the iPad or laptop and just go outside for a walk.
There you go. I can see that. You can use Skype, I guess, is one avenue of technology. Zoom,
Yes.
as we're doing, emails.
Yep.
Um,
I have coffee dates on Saturdays with friends. So we have Zoom coffee dates. And so we show off our cute little mugs and it's for 30
yeah,
minutes. But
there you
sometimes there
go.
can be Zoom fatigue too. So
Mhm.
I think in our agency, like this week, my boss texted me. She was like, get off this Zoom meeting. You're going to experience Zoom fatigue. And it was a good reminder. And I was appreciative of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just have to be mindful and set really healthy parameters around the use.
We are consulting with Miss Elkin Alfred from United Way and how we can lessen the emotional pain of being isolated at home. Good. Let me ask you this. Of course, I believe in moderation and everything. Would you say that there would be any, are there any caveats to get involved with social media to replace human interaction? Would you say
Yeah,
that
because
could
I
be
think, so I like to say social media is not the real world, right? I think
correct?
people,
Yes.
yeah. So that's, I say be careful, on how often you're on social media,
Yes.
and not only in how often you're on it, but also whether it's not a trusted source of information too.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah.
There are some caveats, definitely, and I would imagine it would probably contribute more to your the issue of depression if you just on the media and no real interaction with loved ones and so forth, so it can be a
Yeah,
problem. So
yeah,
they're
because I
mhm,
don't want to minimize the fact that we are created, like us as human beings,
yes,
we're meant to have physical touch,
yes,
right? And the fact
absolutely.
that that's absent right now can be really detrimental to our mental health. And
It
so we
is.
encourage, if possible, to seek, therapy. I know in our office at United Way, our HR talks about using our EAP services, and then the agencies that we fund, we also encourage them to do the same for their employees, to promote the use of EAP, just because we're missing that physical connection, which is important.
No question about it. Earlier, I mentioned that every living thing tends to want to cluster, drawn together. Some may contend, well, I know some creatures that are isolated, they prefer isolation. But then you ask yourself, how do they propagate, right? So they're not completely isolated. So,
Right.
let alone humankind, and so we do need, it is a fundamental human need to be together and gregarious, as I indicated earlier.
Yes.
Um, Elkin, how can our listenership reach out to your programs here?
So you can find us on the web at unitedwaybroward.org, and
Mhm.
Broward is spelled Broward. So unitedwaybroward.org, and you
Mhm.
can look at our resource,
Mhm.
because we have tons of resource related to COVID. And then also you have an opportunity to donate to help fund some of the work that we're doing specifically around isolation and COVID-19.
Yes. See, Broward County, you're in what city?
And yet we're located in Fort Lauderdale, so city
Fort
right on
Lauderdale,
the beach.
Florida. There you go. Good. See, you're in Florida. I'm in California, and I know there are chapters right across the country here. I earlier I did punch in different kind of different counties, and there you are. There's a hotline for
Yes.
mental
And then
health.
we encourage that if you anywhere in the country, if there's a United Way, there's going to be a 211. So
Yeah.
if you are in need of assistance, whether it's just someone you're have experiencing suicidal ideations,
Yeah.
or you feeling anxious or depressed, you can call 211, and there'll be a crisis specialist on the
Yes.
line, able to kind of walk you through your feelings, and help navigate you to a mental health professional to provide further guidance and assistance.
Hmm. Very good. Let me ask you, is there a support for those that speak other than English for them to call?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, and for us here locally in Broward County, we are a majority minority community, meaning that more than 50% of the residents here are members of minority groups. And so here, the four main languages, obviously English is the first one, Spanish, Haitian Creole, and then
Mhm.
Portuguese. And so we are a diverse community. So for us, if you contact 211, you'll have someone on the line who can speak those languages.
Very good. And as far as your funding, how does that work? Donations? I know there's probably individual donations. What other avenues do you have?
Yeah, so our United Way, we're funded through multiple avenues. So of
Hmm.
course we get donations through individual donors and some of our business partners in the community. And
Hmm.
so our business community is super supportive of the work that we do. So they fund us heavily, and then grants. And so we get federal dollars, state dollars, and then grant dollars from foundations.
Yeah.
But anyone can participate in giving. If you just go to our website at unitedwaybroad.org, you can donate to any of the pillars that we help fund and address issues. And those pillars are health, education, and financial stability.
Yeah. Would you have a direct number or as well, 800 number, or is
Yeah,
that?
so you can actually call our United Way, and I'll
Yes.
give you a number. Um, So we can be reached at 954-453-3722, 954-453-3722. Um, and that's how you can get in contact with our United Way.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. It's it's really been a pleasure. And I believe you also have a podcast. Elkin.
I
Can you tell us a little bit
do.
about
So
that?
I do have a personal podcast with a
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
Robin Williams, and it is called Black in the Days. So black like the color, Black in the
Sure.
Days. Days
Sure.
is plural. And so we're on all major platforms. So it is a podcast where we highlight and talk about the complexity and celebrate the diversity of the Black experience. So
There you go. Good.
yeah, I'd love for you to check it out.
I will, because I know for a fact that if we go far back enough, we're all related, Elkin. Did you know that?
Yes, I
Absolutely.
do
So,
believe that. I
yes,
do.
we are. And it's been a pleasure. I think you got a house full of special people there, Elkin, you included. I did
Thank
speak with
you.
Stephanie Mitri. She's a lovely lady. And
She
it was great.
is.
Oh, yes. It's great connecting with you, too. And I want to thank you for what you're doing and what you have done. And thank you for joining our show.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye now. Our goal is to provide you informative content. So spread the word to family and relatives. And if you have a question, you can reach out to me at yourlotandparcel.com. And now, if you would excuse me.
This program has been produced by Isaac Diaz with music by Echo Foxtone. All the opinions expressed in this podcast are opinions only and should not be relied on. For more information, please visit the website yourlotandparcel.com.